So those of you that don't know me, my name is Jennifer McCarter. I am with the Kendall County Aggie Mom Club. I'm also the fifth VP of boutiques this year. Excited about it, looking forward to it, looking forward to working with all of y'all. One thing that I do want to say is that I know in the past, some of the chairs have wanted to just have certain people on the group me's and all of that. I want y'all to have as many from your club as that you want because I want everyone to know what's going on. And I don't want to limit it where only a couple in your club know. So if you have other people you want to add to the list, because I'm going to work off of the list that y'all filled out on the form, then we will go from there. Okay? All right. Let's start out with the agenda. We're going to go over save the date, the Form F, how to load in, checking out, raffles, tax-free days, merchandise, outside vendor, the MSC rules, donations, timelines, and then things that need to do. Okay. First thing is save the date. Thank you. And I don't remember even who emailed me and said, Jennifer, your dates are wrong in your PowerPoint. So I was able to make those right. Boutique is on Friday, April 10th and on Saturday, April 11th. So we're going to do the same times as last year, 10 to 4:30 on Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturday. Okay. The cost for the tables and space is the same. So remember, every 6-foot table that you decide you want is going to cost you $100. Okay. So if you decide you want more than one or you're going to have vendors, it's going to be $100 per 6-foot table. All right. Electricity is optional, but it is $35 per club if you want it. Form F. So those of you that have done boutique before or are familiar with Form F, those of you that have not, Form F is where you're going to tell me everything and anything of what you want to do at boutique. It's also going to have a space in there where there'll be a link to shirts that we're going to get made. There'll be a link there. We're going to do something different this year, and we're going to provide lunch on Friday and Saturday. That was one of the feedbacks that we got, especially on Saturday, that everything was closed and you're there working your booth and you don't have anything to eat. So we are going to fix that this year also. Okay. Form F will open on January 14th. And then the deadline for it will be on Wednesday, February 24th. One of the questions that I had already received was for outside vendors, when do you need the contracts for outside vendors? I would like to have the contracts for outside vendors in February 24th, the same time you do your Form F, because I have to send them to a contact at A&M for him to approve them. So that gives us plenty of time. So if you can get your contracts in the same time you get your Form F in, that would be great. And then boutique ambassadors, like I said before, just make sure everybody has my information if they have any questions or anything. Okay?
Yeah.
Next slide is the Form F. We already talked about the dates of when Form F would be. When you fill out your Form F, you'll have to pay at that time. So via either credit card or e-check. And then additional fees that you could have is if you're going to do like backboards or if you're doing piping, you're doing the piping with the drapes or anything like that, that would be extra. Okay. And then we already talked about the extra on the $35 for electricity. All right, and we talked about the shirts and the lunches. And then just a pointer on the Form F, be very detailed in what you would like to see at boutique and what you're going to do at boutique, just because the more information I have, the better advocate and support I can be for you. Okay? All right. Load in. So load in is going to begin on Thursday, April 9th, and it'll start at 6 p.m. and it's going to end at 9:45. One of the questions that I had asked is when will we find out when our load in time is?
Where the cut card?
And Stacy, maybe you can help me with this. I'm thinking it's going to probably be the week before.
Jennifer, can you go back to the format that you had earlier? I think the fonts were bigger.
No, but here, let me
Go
do
in
this.
presentation mode. Presentation mode will make it bigger.
There. Is that better? Is that better?
Yep, that is. Oh, that
Okay.
is, yes. You're good.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Stacy,
Perfect.
help me on when they'll find out when the
Yep.
their load in time is.
You will typically get it probably, if I had to guess, probably 4 weeks before. So it's going to be your call on
Okay.
when they send it out.
Okay.
The goals have been the last 2 years that we have everybody in by 8:30 because you have to be out of the ballroom at 10, and there will be no exceptions on that.
Okay. So I will tell y'all that as soon as I get it, I'm not going to hold it and not send it out to y'all. I will get it and I will send it to you as soon as I get a chance after I get it from A&M. Okay. No club will be allowed in the ballroom or in the raffle area, y'all, before 6 p.m. Not because I'm a control freak, but because the MSC, this is the time that we have reserved for with them, and we don't want to pay extra just because people decided they wanted to go in earlier. So just make sure that you don't get to the ballroom or the raffle area before 6. All right, you're going to get a floor plan ahead of time, so you'll know where your tables and areas are going to be. You'll also have a table topper and a boutique packet. You will get a floor plan. There will be a table topper on your table along with a boutique packet. You will not have a table topper if you are a raffle, so I don't want you to get there and be like, Jennifer lied to me. So just in the boutique side, you'll have a table topper, but not on the raffle side. Um, in the boutique packet, if you order meals, I'll have your tickets in there for your meals. I'll have your checkout sheet in there. I will have your shirts. If you order shirts, those will all be there. It'll all be there together on your table when you get there. Okay. If for some reason you don't want to use the table topper, please let me know fairly early and let me get it from you so it doesn't get misplaced so that we don't lose them.
On your Form F, you will have the opportunity to put on there, are you unloading yourself, or can you park in the garage across the way and load in yourself? So that will be something to think about, because if you decide that you want to come in yourself, you're just going to come in at 6 o'clock. Okay. And then we will have a lot of questions, or people might say, well, why can't I get there before? When we had talked about the security and so forth, it's also ring day. So the buses will be in that loading area, and we can't get in there until those buses are gone also. So those are two of the reasons why it is 6 o'clock. Also, be aware of your surroundings. There will be lots of buses. Ballroom will close at, well, it's actually, 9:45 is good because that's last call, but 10 p.m. Friday setup will resume at 7:30 a.m. So, as an example, if you did not set up on Thursday and you sign up for Friday, you can come into the loading zone at 7:30, and you'll mark that in Form F, and then you'll be on the 7:30 a.m. Load in for Friday, and that load in is only in the MSC Bay, which is off of, in between the hotel and the MSC. Okay. Any questions in the chat, Roxanne?
The only one that someone asked was how many lunches they can order, but I told them they can order as many as they want because they're paying for it.
Correct. And they all, I think she might have a slide on the meals, so I'll wait till we get there. Okay. And you must indicate how many vehicles. So for instance, if your group is loading in, we want to know you're going to come in with 4 cars or 5 cars. And why is that important? Because in scheduling, we know that it takes more time to load 5 cars in than 1 car. So as an example, there might be for a certain, let's say it's the 6:15 time, and you have 5 vehicles and there's 5 spots, then you'll have all 5 spots. And then the next one we do is 6:30. Does that make sense? So that's why it's important we know how many vehicles. You could even have on there a hodgepodge of some vehicles want to bring in their own stuff. Great, go park in Coldus. The other ones can load in, so you can have a combination of that as well. Okay. Next slide. Load in boutique raffles. Okay, kind of what we've been talking about. So be patient, be kind to the MSC staff because they are all students. Something that is not on here, they do not, these are all students, but do not tip them. So they're not allowed to take tips. But if you wanted to, and you know, because you've done this in the past, they do like treats. So if you have treats and things like that, feel free to give them treats. They just cannot accept tips. Check out boutique without MSC help. Okay, so this is the fun part. It's time. Boutique is over. It's time to go. Boutique checkout will begin promptly at 4 p.m. on Saturday. In your packet, you'll have a checkout sheet itself. So on your checkout sheet, just make sure that it indicates like where your trash goes, that you've done everything. And then when you're ready, you'll come to the booth and somebody who's working boutique will actually go back with you, make sure everything has been checked off. And then once we do that, we will get your stuff over to the garage and then we'll say, okay, go get all your cars. And then your stuff will come down right after you. Okay. So the raffle though, it has a checkout time of 3:30. So a little bit sooner. Great. And in your raffle packet, you'll also have the checkout information as well. Most of the stuff that happens at the raffle is pretty much doesn't. I mean, a couple of you probably need some items to go down, but most of it's self checkout. And you don't need the help of the MSC, but we are here to support you if you need it.
So Stacy already kind of talked about this because the other side was without MSC help, which means you would have to take all of your stuff down yourself. But if you do want MSC help, just make sure you put that on your Form F, and then we'll handle it the way that she said. Once that you are done getting everything cleaned up and everything, and we get you checked out, we'll get you a number, and then they will take your stuff back down for you with MSC help. Okay? All right. Next. All right, raffle rules. Y'all, this is very important, and it's not the Federation rules, it's not A&M rules, it's the governs rules by the state of Texas, okay? A club can hold up to 4 raffles per calendar year, but each raffle has to run at a different time. They cannot run at the same time, okay? They have to have a set start date and a set end date, and you can't have 2 of them running at the same time, all right? In order to have a raffle at Boutique, you have to have been a club for 3 years. So just keep that in mind. You may promote your raffle on your club website, club newsletter, club social media, or email to previously identified supporters of the club. Selling or offering raffle tickets statewide, though, is prohibited. So keep that in mind, too, when you're advertising your raffle. If you want more details on the CREA Act in regards to raffle, I did put the link on the bottom and I will send this out to all of you. I know y'all got one copy of it, but I'm going to send you another copy that's updated with the correct dates. And it is in here if you need it. Okay. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Okay. Stacy, 3 years from when they're chartered or 3 years from when they get their the tax, Nancy was asking.
Sorry, I'm not seeing the question.
3 years from charter or 3 years from registration with the Texas Comptroller?
Oh, that's
Where
a
would the 3
Roxanne
years
question.
be?
That's
Help,
a
Roxanne.
Roxanne.
It's 3 years in existence. So you have to be confirmed as a club. So that should be
Okay.
from charter, because we're not going to charter you unless you have your EIN, you're ready to go, and all of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Raffle tables are separate from boutique tables. For those of you that have never been to boutique, they will be in the hallway outside outside the ballroom. Down the hall is where the raffle tables are. Again, this is something that's a legal issue. We cannot have boutique and raffle running together from the same table inside boutique. Okay. Cash prizes are prohibited, but a prepaid gift card, credit card or gift card is allowed. Okay. You have to also indicate at your table what date and time you're going to do the drawing. If the time changes of you doing your drawing, you have to do it within 30 days from the indicated date. But all ticket holders have to be notified if you don't do it by that 30 days. All right. And then just that the raffle checkout is a separate checkout from the boutique checkout. Okay.
Jennifer, some of the clubs in the past have
Yes.
put raffle to be done at, I'll just exaggerate and say 5 p.m., but our raffles really have to be done by 3:30 p.m. So I think we need to request that there's no time of the day except for the date for whenever they put those raffle tickets together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So just put the date, but you don't necessarily have to put the time on there.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, because last we
Okay.
have had, yes, we have had an issue with like, well, my raffle ticket says it's 5 p.m. and it's only 3 or whatever. And so
Okay.
yeah, just don't put the time.
Okay. Thanks, Alma. So yeah, so make sure you put the date on your ticket, but you don't have to put the time on your ticket. Okay. All right. Next one. All right. And then just that all raffle tables need to be checked out by 3:30. And like I said, this is just because then we have to go in and check out boutique. And so it's just easier to do one and then the others. So here's another thing. If you're doing your drawing that day, all right, I'm not saying that you have to pick up all your stuff and head out if somebody hasn't come, but just make sure that you have your area picked up or whatever, and that you're in a small area waiting for your recipients or whatever to come pick it up if you're waiting for them.
So
Okay.
I have a question. We do raffle. We have to have on our raffle ticket that we're going to be drawing that day, or we just tell people we're going to be drawing that day? Because we always draw the tickets that day.
If you're going to draw them that day, then you have to have the date on there for that day.
We
Not
have
the
to have
time,
it.
but just the date.
Just the
Bonnie,
date. Uh-huh.
Bonnie, it doesn't matter when the date is, but by law, the date has to be on the ticket, whatever
Got
the
it.
date is.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on that? Okay. So the next one I think is on the raffle ticket itself. There is an example of a raffle ticket on here, and you have to have the address or of the organization. It's not on this ticket because this ticket was sent out electronically and they did it that way. Roxanne was telling me, I think just last night, that there was a club that had all their raffle tickets printed and then they forgot to put the address on there. So she had told them just put a label on the back. So if I said that right now and you just panicked,
That
don't
was
panic.
us. That was us. That was us. Our raffle person forgot to put the address at this year on the ticket, and so we had to stamp each ticket with our address. Yes, it's not going to happen again. We had a new raffle person that did the tickets, and we're like, oops, we already printed them all out. So yeah, that won't happen again. But this time I will include, we're going to be drawing on that day.
All right, perfect. All right, so the 5 items that have to be on the ticket is the name of the organization conducting the raffle, the address, which we just talked about, the ticket price, a general description of each prize having a value of more than $10 that'll be awarded in the raffle, and then of course on what date on which the raffle prize or prizes will be awarded. Okay. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Next.
Just a second. So
All right.
on each item, you want the amount of the item, like a pair of cornhole boards for $200. That needs to be with the prize, correct? The amount of each prize on the ticket, like how much it's worth.
I don't
If it's
think
over
you have
some-
to put the value. It's just stating that anything valued more than $10 has to be listed.
Okay, well, okay.
Go
Okay.
back one screen, Stacy.
Is that it?
No.
Or the other
No,
way?
no,
Okay,
forward.
sorry.
A
Okay.
general description of each prize having a value of more than $10.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily have to put the dollar amount of each prize, just a description of the item. Okay. Yeah, we had a
Right.
meeting about that yesterday. We were talking about
It's a
it.
good idea to put the value because then the people realize, oh, wow, this is a $20 ticket. Well, but look at the value of some of the items you might win. So
Yes.
I think it's
Yeah.
a good idea to put the value.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're
I got
welcome.
a question on here about the address. So it says the address of the organization or a named officer of the organization.
So like if you don't have I mean, if you're an organization, you don't necessarily have a physical address, maybe you put your president's address on there.
I was thinking if it's like a PO box, is that the type of address or
That's still an address.
yeah. But then it says or a named officer, so sounds like it's one or the other.
But I think you would have to put the named officer with the address because you're putting the name of the organization. So if you're not putting the organization's address, then you need to put the name and address of the officer.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, every club should have an address. Even if it's the president's address, there is an address that you are, that you have with your club.
Yes, we have a PO box.
That's
Right.
okay. It's still an address. It doesn't
Good.
say physical address. It just says address.
Okay.
Julie, you came off of mute too. Honey, do you have a question?
No. Sorry, I just rejoined on my computer so
Okay.
I can hear and see.
No, no, that's okay. I just want to make sure that we were getting all the questions.
Nope, we're good.
Okay. Tax-free. All right. Tax-free days. Per the IRS, a club can have 2 tax-free days per calendar year. Okay. Clubs must have declared their tax-free days and recorded it in their club's certified minutes prior to the event. I received a question today that asked if I have to have a copy of those minutes. I do not need a copy of those minutes. You just need to make sure that you have them. Okay. So if you're going to use your Friday and Saturday, those are going to be your 2 tax-free days for the year. Okay. And each day, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. And each day is a 24-hour consecutive hours only. All right. So that's why it would be Friday and Saturday would be your 2 days if you decide to use boutique for your tax-free days. On Form F, just make sure you let me know that you're going to be using your tax-free days those days. And then you must notify customers of tax-free sales. Your clubs, will need to display the tax-free sign, and it will be in your boutique packet at check-in. All right. And then just display your club sales and use permit. Any questions on tax-free days? Okay. All right. This says to email a copy of your minutes. You don't need to. I took this from a past presentation. I don't need those if as long as you have them in your minutes. All right. Tax-free days only apply to merchandise made by the club or for items purchased for resale by the club from a TAMU approved vendor. Okay. Licensed vendors selling merchandise at boutique will be taxed, and that will need to be collected at the time of the purchase from the club. Work with your treasurer to separate. I got something in my to separate your tax-free and your. Go ahead, Stacy.
I was just going to say. So, can you hear me? Okay. So that bullet point, just so everybody knows, the licensed vendor. So somebody could say, well, those are the tax-free days that I'm using. They're not tax-free. You're tax-free. Does that make sense? Because that always is a question every year. They're like, well, no, we get to let them be tax-free. Nope. That is a vendor who is not tax-free. They have to file their own taxes. They are not tax-free. You're tax-free. Okay.
So you can't take your tax-free status and move it to one of your outside vendors.
Correct.
They're going to have to charge tax for their items.
Correct.
Okay. Does that make sense?
It makes a little more sense when you say outside vendor instead of licensed vendor.
Yep. Outside vendor. An outside vendor.
Because they don't have to be licensed if
Right.
they're not selling TAMU merchandise.
Correct. Like Fort Bend, if you're on the call, you use Sandy for her bags. Those are not, doesn't say Aggie anywhere on those bags. They are an outside vendor who does not need to be licensed because those bags are not, they don't say anything Texas A&M anything on them. They're just amazing bags.
They are amazing bags.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk a little more about the outside vendors in a minute too. Okay, so any questions though on tax-free days? Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, this is what Stacy was getting into. Selling Texas A&M branded merchandise. There's 3 different opportunities to sell branded merchandise. Okay. The first one is Aggie Mom Club produces the merchandise. All right. The Federation has a Texas A&M direct-to-consumer license, previously known as the Crafter's License. That allows official Aggie Mom clubs, active members of the club, to produce Texas A&M merchandise, which can be sold at boutique. You do need to send all your designs that reference Texas A&M to Scott Oswald, and his email address is here. And then I want you to copy me just so I know that you did it for his approval. And approval has to happen every year, even if the item was approved last year. Okay. Just to make sure we stay in good standing. So that's the first step, the first way you can do branded merchandise. All right. The next one is the retail license produces merchandise. If clubs are not producing the TAMU merchandise themselves, they should order the product through a retail licensee. A list of retail licensees can be found on the TAMU license web link. Then I put the link below for y'all, and verify the vendor is current because licenses can lapse. Okay. Those items also, when you do your Form F and you get your vendor contract, all of that's going to have to be approved by Scott also. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But if you'll give me the contracts with your Form F, I can send all those to Scott at one time and have him do his approvals for those vendors. All right. The last way is bringing in an outside vendor. Aggie
And,
Mom Clubs can.
I was just going to say quickly, what's interesting, it went back to being called, I'm on their website, it's called a crafter's license again. So it's not a direct to consumer license. So they like that.
So we're going to go back to calling it a crafter's license.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Then you can bring in an outside vendor. Aggie Mom Clubs can bring in a retail and direct to consumer licensee to sell at boutique. If a vendor sells a product that doesn't reference TAMU at all, then the license is not needed. If you're not sure, then you can send an email to license at tamu.edu. Okay, and copy me. But that's what Stacy was just talking about with the bags that Fort Bend sells. There's no licensing involved there. It's just an item. It's a great item, but it's an item that has nothing to do with TAMU, so there's no approval needed. All right, so just keep that in mind. If you have a vendor that's going to be using the logo or anything to do with A&M, then that's when we need to make sure that they are licensed. Okay.
And the difference on the two are the majority of the ones that you see like selling on Aggie parent pages and stuff are probably the ones that fall in the far right there. They're the small operations and individuals, so you're not going to find them on any sort of list, retail list. They went through a process with Texas A&M that used to be called a direct-to-consumer license, but they now hold what's called a crafter's license, which is the same license that we hold for the Federation of Texas A&M Mothers Club. So what you would want to do is if you're bringing in an outside vendor who's not a licensed retail vendor, and I'll give you an example of a retail license vendor is For Print. They're on that list as an example, like you use for your, bags and stuff. So think of the one on the right are really those small operations that sell stuff and whatever. So there is no site that you can go see, like, do I have this? But what you can do is ask them the question, do you have your crafter's license? And they'll say, yep. And it's about 8 pages long, and you can get a copy of what it looks like on the website. So that way you at least know they have it. And then, because that vendor is going to go to Jennifer and she's going to give the name, she doesn't need the form. She just needs to know who it is. They check to make sure they're on that list. So before Jennifer comes back and tells you, guess what, they're not on that list, you could actually ask those questions. I just want to make sure you know that. You can ask, hey, do you have a crafter's license? Let me see it. So, but again, we don't need to see it. Nobody here needs to see it, but just know that in the process, the name of that vendor does get sent to Texas A&M, and they'll tell Jennifer if they are or not. Okay.
Hey,
Stacy, can
Stacy.
you hit the hide button on that white box that's on the bottom?
Oh yeah, I can. Sorry.
And there's some questions in the
Yes.
chat, Jennifer, if you want to address those.
I think the question
Okay.
was answered. She was talking about selling. And I think what Andrea's asking, do they have to be licensed if something was donated to you for a raffle? But down there, Catherine answered that question. If the fabric is something she bought, then she bought it. It was licensed to be sold in that store. You can't create fabric unless you're licensed.
Yeah. A question I did get asked related to this is how many outside vendors can you have? You can have as many outside vendors as you're willing to pay for, or they're
As
willing
long
to
as
pay
they're,
you for.
as long as they
Okay? As
are,
long,
yep, as long as they have their
Yeah.
license.
yes. Okay. So there's no limit there. Okay. And then also, just because Austin asked this, and I want to answer them while we're on here, is yes, you can use your 6-foot retractable banner that you asked if you could use. Okay. All right. We can go to the next one. Okay. Outside vendors, and I'm not going to go through this whole slide because we talked a lot about this already. I just want to glance over and make sure there's nothing that we just make sure that you're the one collecting the money for your outside vendor at boutique. And then you will work out how to pay them for the items that they had. We talked about the vendor contract. All right. And then we talked about if they're selling branded merchandise. Okay. Any questions on outside vendors? Okay, so there's a question in the chat says, I guess I don't understand an outside vendor. How would our club make money with an outside vendor? Okay, so they would sell whatever, and let's just use the bags as an example.
Yep.
They sell the bags, the club collects the money, whatever agreement the club makes with the bag seller. I will tell you, I hear a lot 12%. 12 because we're at A&M, it's 12%. Then that 12% the club would keep and then pay the vendor for the rest of the money that they collected for their items. Does that make sense, Carrie?
And there is an actual contract, Carrie, that is signed between you and the vendor. And I know a lot of vendors give back 20% as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
12 or 20.
Yeah. 20 is better.
Yeah, 20 sounds better.
All right. Any other questions on outside vendors? Yes, Stacy, you have to be, so that outside vendor is for, and I'm going to explain this the way I understand it, is not a customer to the Federation. They're a customer to y'all. So yes, somebody from your club would need to be with them at all times. You can't just bring in an outside vendor and leave them there by themselves.
Okay? And the money has to be run through your club. They cannot collect your money. The club has to collect the money.
Yeah, so somebody would have to be there.
One more question. That's kind of, I guess I'm getting confused because like we purchase for our club, we purchase like goodie bag things like a cooler. If we've purchased a cooler in the past and we've already paid the company for that cooler and then we are reselling it at the boutique. is that considered an outside vendor or no?
No.
Because we bought that product from them.
No. An outside vendor is when they actually come
Right.
there to boutique with their
Oh.
merchandise and they
Okay.
set up next to you and you're selling their product and they're there
Okay.
on site. You can
Awesome.
you can buy anything you want and resell it. You
Okay.
just have to make sure you're buying from a licensed vendor.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ladies.
No problem.
Okay. Roxanne, do you want to answer the next question that's in there?
If we're collecting the money from the outside vendor, why would it not be a tax-free purchase like a resale? Because the vendor is going to get their money on it, so the
Yeah.
vendor has to pay sales tax. He purchased that stuff and he has to pay sales tax.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on outside vendors? Okay. Let's go to the next one. All right. MSC rules. Painting is not allowed anywhere in the MSC. Candles and incense are not permitted. You can sell them, but they just cannot be lit in the MSC. All right. Balloons are not permitted. Only certified service animals and, of course, Miss Rev are allowed in the MSC. Taping of posters or signs is not allowed. And then no food products or drinks unless it's food mixes and that type of stuff. So now you're going to say, well, you just told us that we could have lunch at boutique. We are going to have a separate room where you can go and have lunch. Okay. So we will not be breaking the rules of the MSC by eating in the ballroom. Okay.
Well,
There's
Next
that
one.
is referring to they can't sell food or drinks unless it's prepackaged.
correct.
But they can have food or drinks in the ballroom.
Yeah, I don't think that there's ever been anything that says they couldn't.
Right.
They just can't
Okay.
sell. Like you
Right.
cannot sell cups of coffee, but you can sell bags of coffee beans.
Yep.
Right.
Also,
See, you'll see why I have them with me.
yeah, there's also one thing on here that's not on here that I see is if you are a club out there and you're considering doing permanent jewelry, we cannot have that tool to solder, cannot be in the MSC either.
How about heat presses, Stacy? Can heat presses be in the MSC?
I believe that's a no as well, and you'd have to confirm that. So like
Okay.
I've seen like those hats that you burn into the hat, that's a no-go as well. So it's the burning tools. So no soldering tools, because those are all fire hazards.
Right. Okay. Then I'll check on the presses if anybody wants to do that.
Yeah, because I thought there was a club that would do like the Cricut and then the heat pressing.
Yeah, and I just know on the soldering tools, that is definitely a no.
Okay.
And the hat
right.
where you burn into the hat, that was a no last year as well.
Okay.
You can
All right.
sell those hats, but they have to be done outside of, and then you bring them. But it's the tool itself.
So Jennifer, someone's asking, is it a no to irons as well? So ask
I don't know.
Steve that question as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will ask about the heat press and or an iron if that is allowed in the MSC. Since
And
none
I
of
would
us
go
are
ahead and ask
100%
about a
sure.
steamer just in case. I would think steamers would be allowed.
Okay.
I would ask that too.
Okay. All right. I will take that away and ask about that.
And
Okay.
then go ahead
Next one just
and
finishes
add that to whatever they say, add that to the list of rules so we know in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. I will. All right.
Yeah, I would add
Next
the soldering
slide. We're
tool
gonna
to
see
this.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
You've got more stuff here.
Well, yeah, but it still didn't have the soldering on there, so
Okay.
that's why I didn't stop you.
Okay.
All right. No fog machines, no alcohol sales. If you have alcohol in your raffles, you can have it as long as it's sealed and as long as you don't give the prize to somebody under 21. Do not rearrange the tables and the chairs in your reserved spaces. The rooms are set up based on confirmed details. So that's why we ask you not to move things around. If changes need to be made, just contact me. In an event of emergency, locate your nearest exit and calmly get out. I'm going to be the first one out. No, I'm kidding. All right. I'll be yelling. All right. And if you need any assistance or anything the day of or at any time, always feel free to just call me or text me. Okay.
Question
Okay.
here, Alora says, can they bring stands to hold up their signs? I think that's allowed as well, right, Stacy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Any questions on MSC rules?
I want to go back to one thing about the question on the raffle. And I did send you an email
Okay.
on it, Jennifer, to add it. I believe that the question was you had just left out a word when they asked about the address. So
Okay.
the rule states the address of the organization or of a named officer of the organization. So you either
Okay.
put
I
the
will change
officer's
that.
address and you have to name that officer. So of the named officer.
Okay. I will fix that also. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Next one. When you participate in boutique, we also ask that you make a donation from your items for the Fall Federation dinner. Okay. I'm going to do something a little different this year. I'm going to put a sticker in your boutique packet on your table with your club name on it. So if you could put that sticker on the item and either turn it into the table, if you want to text me, I'll come by and pick it up. However, we're going to get it, but that way it'll be easy to keep track of who donated what with the stickers on it. Because when we do the Fall Federation dinner silent auction, we give credit to the clubs that donated those items. So I want to make sure that you get the credit that you deserve for donating it. Okay. There is not a set dollar amount for the donation. We just ask that you do donate an item. Okay. And the on Form F, there's going to be a question related to that item. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. So this is something new. At Aggie Mom Camp, I'm calling it a mini boutique. If you've been to Aggie Mom Camp before, you know that we had the vendors that were in that one little hallway. Since we have rented the whole entire hotel, we are going to have vendors all over the first floor. So this opens up an opportunity for our clubs if they want to sell items at Aggie Mom Camp. It is $100 also for the table, like it is at boutique. And we do ask for an item for the silent auction at Aggie Mom Camp. And then you can check in starting at 1:30 on that Friday. And then selling will start at 4 p.m. We also have rooms available at the actual A&M hotel. So if you didn't get into Aggie Mom Camp and you want to be there for the whole rah-rah of what's going on in the hotel, there are rooms available and you can sign up with the QR code that is attached.
You do have to be part of a club that's has a booth to have a room though.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Don't go on there and just reserve a room and get me in trouble. Stacy's all, where are all these people coming from? Any questions on this? Okay. All right. I think that's it. Is there any?
Jennifer,
next steps.
Jennifer, I have a question.
Yes.
So
yes.
so if a club participates in both the Aggie Mom Boutique and the regular boutique, is that two items per club? Or is it one? It's still
per event.
It would be one for
per event.
Aggie Mom Camp and one for Fall Federation dinner.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
then I guess for the registration for Aggie Mom Camp Mini Boutique, I guess do you have a deadline for that yet, or are you going to put that out there later?
At this point, we don't have a deadline.
Okay, got it.
But we might sell out spaces. So if you want to do it, I would sign up sooner than later for sure. Okay. So it's not necessarily going to be a deadline, but there is only a limited amount of space. Okay. All right. So next steps, make sure your club sales and tax form is current. If using your tax-free days, make sure you have that in your minutes. So you'll have to do that in one of your upcoming meetings. And then just a reminder that Form F will be available starting Wednesday, January 14th. And then they will be due, actually, I think that 24th is a Wednesday, not a Tuesday, on the 24th of February. Okay?
The tax forms do not expire though, Jennifer.
Okay. Then I guess so I do have a question on that, Roxanne, when we're here. If they've been in boutique before and we have their tax forms, do they even need to send a new one in? or
No,
not?
no,
Okay.
they, as long as we
Okay,
have a
so-
copy of it, it does not expire. You know, it's on them to file with
Okay.
their comptroller every year. So there is no really updating. It's like if you don't have one, then, and not every club's going to have one because not every club sells things. If they're just doing a raffle, you know, they wouldn't have one. So.
So what I will do is when you turn in your Form F, I will go through there's a file in my drive that has all of those in there, and I will make sure that it's in there. And if not, then I'll let you know if I need it. Okay. For the mini boutique, there's a question that says, is it only on Friday night or is it Saturday as well? Yes, the sale days are Friday night and Saturday and even Sunday morning. So you get around 2 full days if you take half a day Friday, half a day Sunday, and then whatever on Saturday. Okay. All right. Any other questions at all? Okay. Thank you very much, Stacy and Roxanne, for bailing me out.